All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Gridiron Zeros podcast. Preseason overreactions, including me comparing a head coach to Matt Patricia. AFC and NFC West record predictions. And then we cap it out with a recap of the Giants and Lions game and a little bit of a preview for the Jaguars coming into town this Saturday. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it. Okay, Al, let's go ahead. Let's overreact. It's everybody's favorite time to start overreacting, considering that preseason means absolutely nothing in the NFL. So what are your biggest overreactions coming out of week one preseason?
Biggest overreaction for me is that CJ Stroud is going to be a complete flop his rookie year.
Ooh, he did not look good.
I would say of the rookies in the first top 10 like picks or whatever, first round quarterbacks, what have you, he by far looked the worst to me, and he was not being helped out at all by a dog shit O-line.
Yeah.
He was constantly under pressure trying to scramble around and make plays, threw one terrible interception and almost threw another one. Shout out to Jalen Mills, who played like a fucking dog in that game for no reason at all. But yeah, he just those things mixed with the fact that I couldn't tell you besides Tank Dell one receiver on this Texans roster who's like worth anyone.
Cool.
I mean, we didn't see any Robert Woods. We saw a little bit of Dalton Schultz. I know Dameon Pierce in this game. So they're not playing all their guys on offense and on defense. But if you want a clickbaity week one overreaction, it's that CJ Stroud is the bust of the quarterback class.
I pulled up the box score. CJ Stroud went 2 of 4, 13 yards, 1 interception, and 1 sack for a loss of 15 yards, which is definitely way more than he should be taking.
It's just that classic thing of it looked like the game was too fast for him when he was out there. Like it looked like, I don't know, he just wasn't up to speed yet. It was his first real action. He was going against somewhat decent starters like
I was going to say
Bill Belichick. I mean, for what it's worth,
it's a Bill Belichick defense. So no matter who is playing defense for Bill Belichick, it's going to be a complicated scheme. It's going to be hard to read. So yeah, I guess that does go against your big overreaction, but
plus Bill's always schemed well against rookie quarterbacks. He's always had their number.
He's killed them. So yeah, that totally adds all up. But good overreaction. Something to note, I had completely forgotten about this guy, John Mechie.
Yes, didn't he have cancer last year? Leukemia. Yeah,
he's back. He was taken in the second round last year. He's back.
He's supposed to be having a good camp and everything, but
that's good for him.
Yeah.
My big overreaction for this week, I'm gonna. And this should not shock any listener. It should not shock you, Al, 100%. I think Trey Lance is going to go down as one of the biggest busts of all time.
I didn't even attempt to write him down on my list here just because I knew you were going to want to chomp at the bit to talk about Trey Lance.
10 of 15, 112 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions.
Well, that touchdown is such an asterisk because he threw an interception, really, but the defender had it bounce off his hands, and a backup tight end made a training camp drill catch off his hands, and it happened to fall in the end zone where it became a touchdown. So yes, he did throw a touchdown, but like it should have been a pick.
4 sacks for a loss of 18 yards. Didn't run at all. Oh, no, he did. He had 1 carry for 2 yards. I hope and pray that Shanahan starts him to start the season.
He won't. It's going to be Darnold.
Didn't they already announce that he was?
Well, Trey started the preseason.
Maybe that's what I saw.
And Darnold came in after, but like, I mean, I've been on this train for a couple weeks now. I just don't think Trey Lance is going to start any games for them. I think they're completely out on him, and that game, I feel like a lot of the prevailing comments and things that I've read about it and fans' reactions to it, it seems like Trey Lance is like now his confidence is like kind of out the window a little bit, and you can't really blame him because he's just this high draft pick, a infamously high pick with super high expectations on a really good team, and then cut to now. I mean, it's like people aren't even expecting him to start week 1. You know, I mean, like, of year 3 of his career. So it's just like
the 3rd overall draft pick.
So of course his confidence is shot. Also, Raiders defense. This was almost going to be one of my overreaction notes, but the Raiders, especially the rushing attack from them, like they had him under pressure. They played really well. Like they held the 49ers to basically no points.
It's so funny to me. This guy had less than 200 attempts in college, less than 400 attempts maybe in college. And the 49ers said, he's got raw talent. Let's draft him. They take him 3rd overall. And Lord behold, this guy can't figure out NFL defenses. And he can't stay healthy. They traded away a great amount of capital to go get him. It's so funny that they just got so lucky and fell ass backwards into possibly when I say franchise quarterback, I don't mean like, top 3, top 5 franchise quarterback. I just
serviceable.
Mean like Brock Purdy can win you some games. I don't think he's going to lose you games, right? Like kind of in that gray area of like probably maybe fringe top 10.
You know what? The whole thing with Brock Purdy is we really need a full year to evaluate because he did some amazing things when he came in last year, but like that was like lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? Like it's so crazy to think that's how that went, but like the team was getting hot. He came in at the right time. He did everything he needed to do. And like, he was excellent, but like, it's like we talk about all the time with James Houston. It's like, I don't think everyone's convinced yet. Like he did a lot of good stuff his rookie year, but it's like, I think everyone needs to see it more consistently for an entire year to really be all bought in that it's like, okay, yeah, this dude's for real. He's like, he could be potentially really, really good.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean. Absolutely. But yeah, I'm going to keep hoping and praying that they decide to go with Trey Lance.
It's good content for you. I mean,
I gotta see it. Man. It's my favorite thing to watch. All right, what else you got?
My second overreaction is that the New York Jets are going to be elite this year, and they're going to run away with the AFC East.
Ooh.
I know we kind of had our prediction show for the East last show, and we both had them with the best record in winning the division for the first time in God knows how long. And even I know the Hall of Fame game, like they ended up losing to Cleveland.
Yeah.
But a shutout against the Panthers. Defense looked nasty in that game.
I don't think that was even the starters.
For
the defense.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Carolina had a majority of their starters out there.
We haven't seen Rodgers yet.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson is continuing to just check boxes that he needs to check. He's doing all the right things. I need to watch Hard Knocks. I'm behind. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen some clips and all that, but he seems like, from what I've seen of him so far this preseason and some clips from the show, it seems like he's in a good space for his predicament, for his situation, which I don't think we ever see with guys in this spot where they lose their starting job as a top 3 draft pick Maybe it helps that it's an all-time great coming in there and doing it, but like normally these situations are catastrophic for these young guys. He seems like he's taking on the chin and he's just like all in. That's what it seems like to me overall. Everyone's all in. And when they signed Dalvin Cook this week, they already have Breece Hall and Michael Carter. That could be a three-headed monster backfield. They're not in a spot where they need to rush to get Breece Hall on the field week 1, even though Robert Saleh is saying that he will be ready week 1 and that he'll be ready to go. You got Garrett Wilson, you got Lazard. Like this team just they're exuding special energy this year right now. These last couple weeks started to take off. So I'm all in. I'm all in on these guys. And last week, or last game against the Panthers, watching the preseason, getting a shutout, it's pretty convincing. I'll say that.
I mean, I don't disagree with you at all. I feel like I don't even know if this is really an overreaction. I feel like on paper this team is elite, but it's going to be real interesting to see just how elite this team is. I mean, for all we know, man, this could be the best team in the NFL. It really could.
I know. I don't want to go that bananas yet, yeah. But like I will say that I think they're going to be elite. I think they're going to run away with this division.
I mean,
and it's a good division.
That's a top 3 defense.
It could be the best defense in the league.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Easily.
Playmakers abundant on offense.
Depth on both sides of the ball in most spots on the roster.
And an all-time great QB. So I mean, this team, for all we know, this could be the best team in the NFL.
I'm giving them some high praise right now.
You went with a positive one, so I'm going to change my tune. I have another negative one, but I'm going to go with a positive one. I think by the end of the season, Derek Carr will be an MVP talks.
I did have the Saints written down as something to talk about for sure. So yeah. I'm glad you're getting into it.
I mean, he looked very good.
Yeah, he looked like exactly what you hope he'll be for them.
Yeah,
he wasn't like Patrick Mahomes out there, but he was efficient, good stats, scoring drive, comfortable. Play the Chiefs. I mean, for what it's worth, I know it's preseason, but like, yeah, it's pretty much everything I think you were hoping to see out of him in the limited size that you did get.
6 for 8, 70 yards, 1 touchdown, 140.6 quarterback rating.
Also, low-key, Jameis didn't look bad either. But
Jameis 11 for 13, 92 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 sacks for a loss of 28 yards. But
it's not Jameis's job at all. Yeah. But they paid Carr, so yeah. He's the guy. But
so I mean, he looks great. They'll be without Kamara for what is it, 3 weeks?
Yeah, first 3.
Wow, 3 weeks for. What he did 6 weeks for gambling on some basketball.
Don't even.
That's come on.
But I mean, you look at he's got Kamara, he's got Michael Thomas, he's got Jimmy Graham, he's got Chris Olave, Taysom Hill is still there somehow. Jamal Williams. I mean, the team is also got some really great playmakers. I don't think the offensive line is too terrible, but the Chiefs' defensive line right now is not looking too great. Especially considering that Chris Jones is still holding out.
I mean, I doubt he would have played anyways.
Yeah, very true.
But he is the leader of that defense, so it's probably a presence that's sorely missing.
But, I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It is a redemption season for Derek Carr here. I mean, he has to put his career on the table this season to show everybody what he's made of.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a little more than that. It is a redemption season for him, but for him, it's the most important season of his career, potentially.
Yeah.
Just because of how big of a shift this is going to be in, this opportunity, a brand opportunity with a team that's ready to go in a bad division. Like, he's got a lot to prove.
Similar to Stafford, yeah. He has to prove a lot of people wrong about him. All right, what's your last one?
Well, it's negative. My last one was going to be by the Saints, so I'll do my backup here, but and I am going to pivot to another rookie quarterback here. I know we don't like to just stick on them as much, but I feel like
we are talking about a lot of quarterbacks. I just realized.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's the biggest headlines of week 1 right now. But so Anthony Richardson is officially starting for the Colts.
That's what I saw.
He was named the starter for week 1. I guess my overreaction for him, he might be the best of the rookie class.
Ooh.
Just because I don't think his stats won't blow you away in this game. It's really just watching the highlights of what he was doing out there, and the fact that he's already kind of been given the reins. There's not a whole lot of debate about it. There's not going to be a Gardner Minshew show. He's got weapons. Hopefully Jonathan Taylor gets back. But man, if you watch this guy, how easy it looked for him. Just like flick of the wrist, and it was like bullets. Like his arm was a fucking cannon in that game, and he just makes it look really easy. I think he has a lot to work on. He looked kind of rough in some areas, but that's kind of what we thought, right?
I mean, he's going to be a little green.
I just think he has the potential of this class, and the roster around him, the coach he has, like he might be the best of the bunch this year. I know we've been pretty high on Bryce Young and the Panthers and everything, but just if we're going for overreactions here, that'd be one I would throw out there.
Richardson opens up at home against the Jaguars and then is on the road against the Texans and on the road again against the Ravens. So, I mean, I would say pretty favorable 3 matchups.
There's a 2-1 in there, maybe.
Could be.
Like
he's got 2 good defenses. I mean, Jaguars defense, I guess he's facing a middle-of-the-road defense, a bad defense, and a good defense, right?
Those Jags Colts games, though, are always weird. They're always strange.
Yep. No, very true.
Last takeaway for you? Overreaction takeaway?
This one might be a bit of an overreaction. I have written down Sean Payton equals next Matt Patricia.
That's definitely an overreaction. You can't be the next Matt Patricia when you've already been a Super Bowl winning head coach. Clarify.
Don't forget, Matt Patricia made the greatest play in Super Bowl.
He himself made it. That's right.
Against Russell Wilson.
It's crazy how he did that himself.
Yes.
In that game.
But Sean Payton, he was playing his starters against the Arizona Cardinals, the team that I would say a lot of people are saying
might be the worst this year.
Might be the worst this year, right?
Yeah.
Russ was fighting for his life almost every play. He was dropping the ball. Does he have small hands?
I mean, he's a smaller guy.
Smaller guys. I guess he's got to have, like, in terms of QB hands, he's got to be on the smaller side.
I don't know, man.
Like I'm seeing it more and more with him where he just like has trouble holding the ball.
I was gonna say I thought he looked better. I thought he
looked much better compared to last year.
Yeah,
I will say that.
I thought that he was making some nice throws and like he wasn't trying to overextend plays and like I don't know. It looked like a little bit more of the Russell Wilson that we knew prior to last year's disastrous outing. So I thought it was okay. But against the Cardinals, though,
a team like this, I don't give a shit if it's preseason, postseason, regular season, or a training camp joint practice. The Denver Broncos have too much talent to be losing a game to the Cardinals.
Well, that's why we talk. It's preseason. We have to have that caveat on it.
Have that asterisk next to it, but I mean, he's got a very favorable 4 games to open up. The first 2 are at home with the Raiders and the Commanders, which
they should be 2-0. They should be 2-0. There's no excuse.
And then they're on the road against Miami, which that will be probably the first real test for them, right? I don't want to slack off the Raiders too much, or the Commanders for that matter, but they should beat both those teams, and then they're in Miami, and then they got the Bears, and then the Jets, right? So
they should be 3-2, 4-1 in that stretch. No excuses.
Yeah. But I also just love how Sean Payton is coming in. I mean, like, you buy into it, but if you don't start putting up results, I feel like you are going to have a bit of a similar situation on your hands.
It is one of the more fascinating situations in the league.
Yeah,
especially with all the tea with him, just like all the
code.
He broke the code.
Shit.
He's got that Walmart money.
I know I'm kind of crapping on Sean Payton here, but for a second, I'm going to come to his rescue. I don't see what the big deal is
about him talking shit about
Hackett. Was anything that he said incorrect?
I mean, you just don't in a public professional forum. You don't just take a shit at another coach.
Yeah.
You just don't do it. It's not like.
But I mean, he was so bad.
I don't even think Urban Meyer was up to that level of shenanigan. Guys will not shake each other's hands in the field or something or do that kind of stuff. But you don't openly say what an awful job the guy before you did, and it was a terrible. Even if he's right, I mean, he is fucking right. No doubt.
I mean, Hackett was so unearthly horrible at his job, man. It was
Mr. Unlimited.
Well, hey, let's keep the convo on the Broncos going because we got a whole AFC West to break down here.
Yeah. Last thing, I wanted to mention. I thought it was also really funny. This Jets Broncos game, it has to get flexed to prime time.
So week 1?
No.
Oh no, sorry, no.
It's like week 5. Yeah. Yes, week 5, and that's when they can start flexing primetime games now.
Seems like a perfect candidate.
Perfect candidate because of all this tea that's going around. But Peyton said no interviews on the sideline, no sunglasses, no bucket hats, and I there might have been one other rule that I can't remember, but he sends out that to the Broncos team, which
leave your pads on was the other one.
Ridiculous, right? And the next thing you see is who was it?
Sauce.
Was it Sauce?
It was Sauce.
It was Sauce on the sideline in sunglasses, a bucket hat, pads off, doing an interview on the sideline for the Jets. Clearly taking a shot at Sean Payton, which I love it.
Dude,
I think that's fantastic.
I can tell you right now, that game, I'm already hammering the Jets as a favorite in that game.
1,000%. I think it's in Denver too.
Who gives a shit? Who cares?
Even if Denver is looking good and they get the home push in the spread,
they're gonna be fucking smoked. It's not gonna be close.
Jets all day. That's Aaron Rodgers like revenge game type scenario.
Yep.
Like he's going to light them up.
Agreed.
All right, let's get into the AFC NFC West record predictions.
All right, well, since we were just kind of talking Broncos at the end of our last segment, let's just keep the AFC West train rolling here.
Okay.
Let's just get into them. Number 4, last place in the AFC West in the 2023 season. Who do you have, and what is their record?
I feel like we'll be aligned on this one. Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders. You are correct. We are aligned. I also have them
5-12,
and we're pretty close on the win total. I have them at 4-13.
Okay.
I just, you know what? I didn't like. I know we've been shitting all over the Raiders in the offseason shows, and I know that we hate Patriot way, in any other way, because the Lions got bit in the ass by it. So McDaniels obviously is someone we don't care for. I don't know if he's a good dude or not. We just don't like his coaching styles. But
couldn't care less.
They do have a talented roster. They had a nice outing against the Niners this week in the preseason. Jimmy Garoppolo is serviceable enough. They got Devontae Adams. They got Josh Jacobs. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But man, I'll tell you what. I just looked at their schedule and I was like, they're not beating half these teams.
No.
Like, absolutely not. Like I don't care if their roster's a little bit better than like some of these guys. They're going to drop a bunch of these. They have a really tough schedule this year.
The other thing you got to put into account, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to go down at some point.
100%.
Right.
And Aiden O'Connell is their backup, who looks
It's
like
not Stidham?
he looked what? No, Stidham went to the Broncos.
Oh,
Aiden O'Connell's a rookie rocking Derek Carr's old number, and he looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid discount version of Derek Carr.
oh
It's
my
very
gosh.
strange. But he actually had a decent game in the week 1 opener against the Niners. But who cares? I mean, if Garoppolo goes down, it's either him or Brian Hoyer. Those are your guys that you have on your. Brian Hoyer's like 47,000 years old at this point. He's still on a roster in the league, which is mind blowing.
This is a brutal second half.
It's awful. It's really tough.
I mean, you got at the Lions on Monday night. We'll start here, and then at home against the Giants, at home against the Jets, on the road against the Dolphins, at home against the Chiefs, at home against the Vikings, at home against the Chargers, on the road against the Chiefs, at home or on the road against the Colts, and then at home against the Broncos.
I'm thinking of that whole list, maybe 3 wins. If you're pushing it.
I look at it and I see 2.
It's tough, and
Colts and maybe the Vikings. They ain't beating us.
Because there's just no way that they're going to be like absolutely rolling by them. That's the only way that kind of schedule is not so daunting to a team, is if you're the problem team coming in and taking care of business. Yeah. But they're not going to be that team. They're going to be
sneak at least 2 of those out.
They're going to be the team that everyone's been beaten up on, or it's been close, and they're going to get steamrolled by these much better teams trying to make playoff pushes. So, I just don't see any way that the season ends well for them. Minus all of the stuff we talked about offseason, purely based on schedule, it's rough.
They have They have a 3-game, I would say, winnable stretch coming after a brutal start to the season. I mean, dude, who gave them this stretch of games? On the road against the Broncos, on the road against the Bills, at home against the Steelers, Sunday Night Football, and then you're on the road against the Chargers. That's just a brutal start to this schedule. And then you get the Packers, Patriots, and Bears. So, I mean, it's a little
reprieve.
Good 3-game stretch that you could win. All right, glad we're aligned on that. Who do you have next?
This might be where we split off here.
It could be. It very well could be.
I have the Chargers.
Okay.
3rd place, 7-10.
Interesting.
A lot of similar reasons. The schedule is tough. They got to play the Chiefs. This division's going to rip itself apart for sure. But I just don't. Well, I guess the main thing for me is I don't believe in Brendan Staley.
No, not anymore.
And I don't really. Kellen Moore is okay, I guess. Herbert's got a lot to go out there and do this year. I just don't believe in this coaching staff. These receivers are all sneaky old. This defense is old. And the last couple of years, they haven't been able to stop a nosebleed. I just don't see any signs that that's going to be any different this year. They did draft a receiver in the 1st round, so when one of their old guys goes down, they'll have someone else. Not if, when.
That's true with basically every player on that team.
Yeah.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Bosa,
James,
right.
Bosa, Khalil Mack, Herbert, Eckler, Allen, Williams. I mean, you name it, they're gonna go down at some point.
Herbert and Bosa are gonna have to carry this team on their shoulders.
Yeah,
they do have some nice players if everyone can stay healthy, but my God, they have a tough schedule, a tough division, tough conference, and I just don't believe in them. So they're 3rd place for me.
And a head coach that, I don't know, I think he might have been smelling his farts a little too early on in his career.
Where was he from again? Was he from the sacred Shanahan tree?
He might have been. I would not be shocked if he was.
Imagine if Mike McDaniel had his hands on Justin Herbert. How nasty that could have been.
Oh, yeah. Forget about it. We did differ. I had the Broncos at 7-10.
For what it's worth, they're neck and neck.
Yeah.
On mine.
What do you have the Broncos?
9-8.
Okay. I have the Chargers at 8-9.
I have the well you go ahead. You elaborate on the Broncos a little bit.
The Broncos, things can change, absolutely. But watching that first couple of drives for the Broncos really, really shook me off of them. I was coming in pretty high on the Broncos this entire offseason. And then what I saw against the Arizona Cardinals.
See, this is an
with their
overreaction.
starters,
This is an overreaction, though.
It's
week
that's
one. You're shaking the rust
extremely,
off.
Extremely concerning to me. I don't know.
This is
This
the
could be a
definition
very bad
of a
take.
preseason overreaction.
Yeah, this could be a bad take, but I mean, they gotta right that shit pretty quickly here.
The chips are off the table, okay?
I'm sure they will, but yeah, I don't see it with Denver now. I don't see it with Russell Wilson. I don't think Sean Payton's going to come in to change everything. That offensive line, even with
It's better.
the additions, I mean, you're letting the Arizona Cardinals get into your backfield like that.
Let me jump in here.
You have them
and
at
just
9-8?
I have them at 9-8.
Okay.
I just think that we kind of talked about it with the Saints and Derek Carr. This is a year with enormous pressure on Russ and Sean Payton to an extent. I mean, I know he could probably win 3 fucking games this year, and they would still have him for however long they want to have him.
Cannot do that after talking all that shit about.
I know, but there's no way that
right.
unless he has an 0-17 season or a 1-win season, and Russ is the worst quarterback we've ever seen, that he's like gonna get canned. So they're in with him.
He would retire after that.
But this is a big year for Russ, and this roster feels a little bit more complete. I just think it's a little bit overreaction week 1 preseason. Russ did look better. I mean, I touched on it a little bit earlier. Like, I think he made easier completion throws. He was throwing at the middle of the field. Like, he wasn't trying to fucking be Superman out there in every play. Like, he looked better.
Mr. Unlimited.
I don't know. To me, you add Sean Payton, a Hall of Fame, most likely head coach, and some pressure. They did lose Tim Patrick again to another torn ACL again.
Yeah.
So he's missing his second consecutive year. Their running backs are probably my biggest question mark on offense, I would say, but I have faith in them.
I like P. Ryan. I think P. Ryan's going to be good.
Yeah, I guess for me, the difference between them and the Chargers as to why I put the Broncos above them is purely, it comes down to coaching.
Yeah.
And a roster that will probably stay healthy all year long. I don't have them balling out and winning a shitload of games. 9-8. I think like they'll be flirting with a playoff spot. Maybe in the AFC, they're not going to make it with that, but they'll be in the mix. And I think we all know who this division belongs to.
9-8, I think somebody who was 9-8 last year made it.
I don't think so.
I could be wrong, but
and none of it matters because we know who this division is ultimately going to come down to.
I was just going to say real quick, Chargers were my second team at 8-9. Everything that you said was correct. And then, I mean, how many games did you have KC winning?
I think they have them win 13 games.
I got
13-4.
Yeah, I think there might be a stumble or two out the gate. I feel like this team always has to get acclimated to changes at the start of every year, whether that's, they're now missing Chris Jones, or they lost Tyreek Hill last year, or they lost Tyrann Mathieu the year before.
They start the year with Isaiah Pacheco at running back, and then in the Super Bowl he's making huge plays for them. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. They'll figure it out probably.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I think I had them winning or losing a majority of the 5 games that I had them losing early on in the year, and then catching fire like they always do at the end.
That's what good teams do. Yeah. Because it's so hard to win.
That's exactly
that many
what
games.
The Bengals have been doing for the last 2 years. Like they catch fire towards the end of the year and then carry that into the playoffs.
We'll definitely be doing that this year because Joe Burrow missing 4 to 6 weeks or whatever. Like that's gonna.
Some people are saying that he's gonna be ready week 1.
They should not rush him out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would, for the record, knowing his history with bad injuries.
We'll get all into that in next week's show because that's the North previews. It's our last previews or predictions.
But yeah, no, I mean, this is Casey's division to lose, which they won't. They're always going to be at the top.
Yep.
Biggest downgrade in talent in terms of a whole division, I think it might be the AFC West.
I would agree with you based only on how a year ago now how we were talking about this division
in talent from one year to the next has to be the AFC West, because I think we had the fourth place team in this division last year winning 9 games.
I think that's shifted to the East now. It's just kind of the AFC East.
Yeah. No,
it's moved over.
100% agree. Okay. NFC West. How many games do you have the Cardinals winning?
Yeah, that's not even. Well, the Rams and them.
I don't know. They got some key players healthy back this year. So
I got the Cardinals. This might surprise you. I have them only 1 game away from the Rams. I have them winning 6 games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think a big part of it is that I do think Kyler Murray will be back during the year at some point. I don't even because I think initially we were thinking he was going to be out the entire season, and I know he alone can't save this thing, but he will play some games this year towards the end of the year probably. That's good for at least like a win or two. I think the NFC on the whole is weak. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
I just looked through their schedule and there's a couple games they could win in there. They're not going to blow the doors off anybody, but yeah, 5-6 wins.
You got to remember, there's always going to be squirrely wins in the NFL. Nobody had us beating the Cardinals 2 years ago, but we walloped them.
I don't think they're that bad. Like that level of bad. The same comparative as the Lions that year.
Yeah.
They're not, or the Bears last year. They're not one of those. They're not one of those teams. Oh, at least I don't think they are. I don't know. Maybe they are.
I am putting them in that echelon.
Okay, because I guess we have been talking about them a lot as a team that's pretty much starting a rebuild, but I think they do have a couple more pieces than that level of team. I mean, the Lions 2 years ago were a XFL expansion roster. I mean, they were fucking awful. They were really bad. We thought they were maybe going to go 0-16, 0-17.
They were 0-10. Yeah, man.
Not a lot to like. I mean,
I have them at 4 wins.
That's reasonable. It's reasonable. Maybe
they'll squeak out a couple. They play bad teams too. I also have them beating the Rams at some point.
See, that is part of why I have them with a couple of extra dubs, is because they are playing the Rams and they're playing.
They'll get that squirrely win.
Some bad NFC teams.
Yeah.
So
I think they'll pick a couple up there. All right, and I think we are completely aligned on this one. LA Rams 7-10.
Yeah, you think exactly. I think the win total as well. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
7-10.
Audio fist bump.
Because we're best friends. I love you, my dude.
Stafford's back, but he's another year older. Donald's back, he's another year older. McVay's back, he's another year older. This team just lost so much steam last season.
But I think we talked about it with them in our off-season show with them. As long as they have that core, that 3-player core and McVay with Donald, Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Sean McVay, they're gonna be
in games.
They're gonna be hanging in games.
Yeah.
Last year when they were epically terrible, they didn't have Stafford for a good chunk. Kupp was banged up.
They even have him for a chunk.
And Donald, I don't think he missed significant time, but just wasn't enough.
What's the fucking point?
He wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And I just think if you have all 3 of them, you're a little bit better than the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be.
I'd hope so. I sure as hell hope so.
And by my final standings, not by much.
No.
But you're a little bit better than them. They're just this is the last gasps of air for them to go try and make some noise in the playoffs with this nucleus, because The hens have come home to roost for this F them picks nonsense and paying these crazy contracts to guys who are well over the hump just because they won the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, this thing is at a nuclear boiling point. So they gotta go do it now. They gotta do something now. But I just don't think they have the juice to really be anything that compelling this year. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, Stafford, I mean, he's got to be damn near 40 at this point too, right?
And he's banged up. I mean, even if he's not like on the injury
Back
list,
at
he's
this point.
he's banged up in general. His body has
horse
been.
tranks shot into his back every fucking week.
Meanwhile, we got Jared Goff over here.
They've lost Von Miller, which hurts Aaron Donald. They've lost Jalen Ramsey, which hurts that secondary.
Bobby Wagner.
They lost Bobby Wagner. So I don't know who the fuck they're playing on defense, but it ain't good. So I don't know. Maybe that team will be even worse than 7 wins. Who knows? How many games do you have Seattle winning?
So we are exactly aligned.
We are 100%. I mean, this is probably the most clear top to bottom division.
Yeah, I had to think about them too, though, because in our offseason show about them, I mean, we were raving about their offseason, and we both left it on the note of they very well could win this division.
Yeah.
They absolutely have what it takes to win this division if everything goes right, and if Geno can have another season like he had last year, defense takes a step up. There's definitely a path to them doing that, which is why, for me, I'll just bunch my Niners record in here too, just because of the kind of echoes on this point. But I got the Seahawks at 10-7 and the Niners at 11-6. It's so close. Wow. It's really close between them. Like I like them both to win this thing like a lot. I think the Seahawks have everything they need to go do it. I just think the Niners are a little bit more talented, and I always regret jumping off the Niners train because they always ramp up, and by the end of the season, the last 3-4 years is like, oh yeah, they got 13 wins, they got 12 wins. So yeah, I gave them 11 wins, but yeah, we'll just keep talking about Seahawks before we get into that.
At 10-7 for the Seahawks.
Yep, 10-7.
Hit the Mr. Unlimited button.
Mr. Unlimited.
I have the Seattle Seahawks at 10-7 as well.
Okay.
We're dead on with 2 record predictions this one.
I need a fucking boost, and I need it now.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have come down on the Seahawks a little bit more. I feel like I might almost see some sort of regression this year because Geno played out of his freaking gourd last year. I mean, the guy was balling out left and right. So I don't know.
They gave him another first-round receiver to work with.
That's true too.
You know,
that is true.
And arguably the best one
out of the bunch.
In the bunch, right?
Yeah, 10-7. I feel like that just
Kenneth Walker.
They'll lose games. They got, San Francisco. I feel like that's an automatic 2 losses. Although I don't know.
No, I think they could split. I really do. Like I don't think it's automatic. I don't think San Fran's an automatic team against everybody. I do think that they're an automatic top 3 in the NFC.
This might be little bit juicier of a take for you then. I have San Francisco at 14-3. I think that's the best team in the football.
All right. Well, you need to elaborate on that because how on earth can a team that's going to start Sam Darnold or Brock Purdy, who's banged up, or Trey Lance, who can't throw a fucking football, the best team in the NFC?
The only way this blows up in my face is if they start Trey Lance, which I won't be upset about. Again, I'll love it. Sam Darnold's going to be able to come into this offense, and much like Jimmy Garoppolo, much like Brock Purdy, they're going to plug him in. They're going to produce at least 17 points, and then that defense is going to go to work. All right?
No more Texans coach. What's his name?
It don't matter.
It does matter.
It don't matter. Everybody, did you think the same thing when they lost Saleh?
Yeah, a little. D'Amico Ryans. Thank you. Yes, I did.
And what happened?
They were pretty good.
Nothing changed.
Yeah, this is what I was just saying. I always can't.
Nothing changed. It ain't the defensive coordinator. I mean, In some ways, it is. I mean, Salah's put together a stout defense, and
I guess they really are
but
just like
it don't matter.
they really are just the definition of just a systematic
That shit
team.
is all coaching. That shit is all coaching. And obviously, they have a very stellar offensive line, and they have some of the best playmakers in football.
Trent Williams, who gets more posts on PFF than any player I've ever seen in my fucking life.
That guy is truly a disgusting monster.
He's great, but my God, he gets a post every 3 hours from PFF on their Instagram.
They got McCaffrey, they got Debo, they got Ayuk, who never gets talked about.
Yeah, he took a step
Kittle.
up last year. And I think he's on a contract year this year also, so maybe he'll step up even further.
I mean, this is by far the best team in the NFL, top to bottom, in my opinion.
I just don't think you can say that.
The quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That's why. Because the best team in the NFL is the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Like, no doubt.
I don't know. I don't know if I
even without
with
their Chris Jones, even without him, they're the best.
I think that Super Bowl is a completely different game if Brock Purdy doesn't get injured.
Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes.
And Brock Purdy wins that.
Well, I'm not. I mean, I'm obviously aligned that they're the best of the division. I'm not as hot on them. I have them, like I said, 11-6. They got one game on the Seahawks. I just think they will round out the year like a freight train, like they always do. But I think they will struggle out the gate a little bit. I think until they really get solidified at the QB spot. And God forbid Christian McCaffrey misses any time. Because the dude, I know last year he played well, but my God, he's missed so much time in his career.
Absolute glass.
That's definitely a possibility.
I mean, I don't know who was making the schedules over at NFL, but they might be a 49ers fan. They are at the Steelers, which
that might be a
not
loss.
a gimme.
It might be a loss. I don't know.
Then they're at the Rams.
Win. Guaranteed win.
Then you're versing the Giants at home. That's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
Then you're playing against the Cardinals.
All right, so you got a 2-2 start in there, potentially a 3-1 start.
At home against the Cowboys.
Fuck the Cowboys. That should be a win.
That will be a win. Then you're at the Browns.
That'll be a win.
Then you're at the Vikings, but it's Monday Night Football.
It doesn't matter. They'll be. Well, I was gonna say it's a win either way.
Okay.
But primetime Kirk, even with primetime 1 p.m. Kirk, it would have been a loss for the Vikings.
So right now we're sitting. I'll give you one loss in that opening 3 weeks, whether it's the Steelers, to the Rams, or to the Giants. After that, they're beating the Cardinals. They're beating the Cowboys. They should beat the Browns. They're beating the Vikings. That's one loss.
We'll see.
Bengals at home. That could be a loss. You're at Jacksonville. Sneaky could be a loss. Tampa at Seattle. Sneaky could be a loss. At Philly, I'm going to mark that one down as a win.
Revenge win.
At home against Seattle, if they split, that's a win. At home against or on the road against the Cardinals, win. Versus the Ravens, don't care, win. At Commanders, win. Versus LA, win. That's at max, in my opinion, 4 losses on the season.
I think they're going to be the number 1 or number 2 seed in the NFC.
At 11-6?
No, because they had Eagles. So, yeah. No, they'll be the number 2 or 3 for me. Okay. I think.
I guess, that makes more sense.
All right, so before we move on to our Lions' glorious victory over the Giants, let's recap our AFC West and NFC West standings. AFC West, I have the Raiders, 4th place, 4-13. Chargers, 3rd place, 7-10. Broncos, 2nd place, 9-8. Chiefs, 13-4, 1st place in the AFC West.
I have the Raiders going 5-12. The Chargers, the Broncos at 7-10. The Chargers at 8-9, and the Kansas City Chiefs at 12-5. And then for the NFC West, I have the Cardinals going 4-13. Yeah. The LA Rams going 7-10. Seattle Seahawks going 10-7. And the San Francisco 49ers at 4-13. You have
Cardinals 6-11, Rams 7-10, Seahawks 10-7, Niners 11-6. I want to throw out one more question on the Niners before we move on, though.
Yeah, lay it on me.
Just because we're in the preseason right now and things are kind of getting figured out, and I feel like if it's something with Trey Lance is going to happen, it's going to happen like soon-ish.
Yeah.
What do you do with him? This is a loaded question, but do you trade him before the season starts?
If I can get rid of him, I would.
What if it's like not for a lot? Like, what if it's for like
Then
a
I
5th
hold
round
him.
pick? What if it's for a 3rd round pick? Like, it's not a
hold
lot.
him.
Okay.
I hold him until his contract's up, and then I let him walk.
I think I'm also going to hang on to him because you're not going to get value for him.
Yeah.
But if the right team called with the right trade package, I'm moving off him yesterday.
If I can get like
I'm done. I'm done with him.
Second from a shitty team, I'm taking that all day.
I do have the perfect team in mind for him. I thought about it over the weekend a little bit.
LA Rams.
How about the Miami Dolphins?
Ooh, that's interesting.
He could go be behind Tua for a little bit. Maybe things with Tua don't work out. Mike McDaniel knows him. That offense seems like it could cater to his skill set a little bit.
That might be why they don't trade for him, because he's fucking garbage. And Mike McDaniel knows it.
Oh, well, that's a really good point.
Mr. Unlimited.
All right, let's move on. I just want to throw that out there really quick. But
Yeah.
on to the Lions.
Let's go!
On to the Lions. Let's recap the big old W over the New York Giants after a prevailing huge touchdown late in the 4th quarter.
Hey, while you're pulling up some stats really quick,
Yeah.
I just want to say initially I was boots on the ground at the game.
Yeah.
The boys were in preseason form. Your boy was in regular season form, rocking a couple of brewskis during the game. Absolutely. But
Tall.
oh yeah. But I just had to say really quick, Ford Field was fucking electric. It was
rocking.
It was,
in that place.
dude, it was a regular season game in there for these people.
Wow.
It was like, I usually go to at least one preseason game a year.
Yeah.
Because my dad has tickets and he's like, I don't go to these games because who cares? But they're usually like 35 to 60% occupancy, pretty low energy, kind of just like people come in and out. These people were rocking in there. I mean, like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was like they were playing a Thursday night football game in there. So I literally talked to one of the concession people when I was getting a drink, and I was just like, this is crazy. I've been going to preseason games for years and I've never seen anything like this. She was like, we're all floored. Like, we can't believe it. Like, this is like a regular season game. Like, it's the preseason has always been a slog. It sucked, but this is nuts. So God, I just had to throw that out there real quick.
Let's go, baby. I love to see that.
Rage, fucking rage.
Love to see it. All right, so Lions win 21-16 after a late 4th quarter touchdown from he must have been undrafted free agent rookie Adrian Martinez.
Yes.
From Kansas State, who did not look too bad.
Well, he looked a hell of a lot better than Nate Sudfeld.
The first thing I have written down here for the recap, thank God for Teddy Bridgewater.
I got a question, too. Can I ask you something?
I was constantly talking to people I was at the game with or around people at the game, and I was just like, thank God this guy is going to be out of town. And even if he was still here, would technically be our 4th stringer on the depth chart.
He ain't making the team. He'll make practice squad if anything. Although honestly, I feel like I would rather have Martinez on there than this guy. Yeah,
he's gone. It's over.
Thank God. I mean, we downplayed that news so hard last week. Like, we were so bummed to hear, oh, we're signing to, oh, great. After that fucking performance from Sudfeld, Thank God they got Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, it wasn't really about that we hated the signing of Teddy Bridgewater. It was about the fact that we were expecting a Chase Young trade or something of that level of hype, but we kind of were given a very expected signing that was been flirted with for months.
It adds up so much more now because it was all the beat writers that were getting so hyped up about it because they knew how much Sudfeld sucked. So they were like, "Oh, thank God!"
Better tweet out the eye emoji.
Thank God we're getting a better backup quarterback.
Let's not talk about him anymore. There's too much waste of time on this.
I have two notes. We have the trifecta of the future on defense. It is Hutch, it is Jack Campbell, and my God, did you see that hit from Brian Branch last week?
Yeah.
That motherfucker has arrived.
Yeah.
I mean, it tingled downstairs watching that, buddy. Holy hell.
If you want to know what we're about cutting it loose.
You want to talk about overreaction? That motherfucker's going to be our Ed Reed.
That's a huge overreaction.
But I don't care. I mean, oh my Lord, did I love that, man.
You know who also looked pretty good, who I haven't thought about in a while? How about the Aquaras?
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
I had that down too. They're going to have some extremely tough decisions with the defensive ends and what they want to do with those. Because, I mean, they have so much very solid depth at that position now. I mean, you got Pascal, you got Houston, Hutch, Kaminsky, Romeo, Julian. There's one other one that I'm probably forgetting. But, I mean, they have so much depth at that. And Romeo and Julian were both on the bubble. They were both on the outside.
For sure.
Until, they combined for 3 sacks. I think Julian had another hurry. And they really shut down that Giants offense in the fourth quarter. It looks like a lot of these guys on defense were guys that would be getting some decent amount of playing time. Campbell, which makes sense. Branch, which makes sense. Will Harris, I imagine, will be getting some playing time. Maybe Malifonwu. I really hope Rodrigo gets playing time. Kaminsky, Romeo, same thing. Derek Barnes should be getting playing time, but Pascal, same thing. Broderick Martin, same thing. Yeah,
I was a little
guys on there that should be playing a lot of defense for us. So
I was just a little worried coming into the game. I think expectations were very high. Like I said, getting in there and it was rocking like a Thursday night football game, and then they're losing the game pretty quick, and the offense with the backups was looking pathetic for a little while, and I was just like, oh boy, I don't know. But they got it done. They pulled it out, and it was fine. And defensively, I think it was a much more impressive showing than the offense overall, I would say.
100%. Offense sucked. We only had one offensive touchdown. Thank God for Maurice Alexander. How about that?
Yeah.
95-yard punt return. Defense, they gave up 2 field goals in the first, and then a 1-play 14-yard drive that resulted in a touchdown. But that's because Sudfeld, little Dingleberry, threw a pick.
Dingleberry.
And we were not set up in a great position. Jahmyr Gibbs, 6 carries, 19 yards, 1 catch, 18 yards. That's a little exciting.
Yeah, it was good to see him for a little bit.
On the other hand, Jamo continues to struggle. 2 catches, 7 targets. I understand not all of them were his fault in terms of the targets. He's got to work with what he's got in terms of a quarterback. But there was a pretty bad drop on a deep ball. They had New York's, I think, best corner covering him. So,
I mean, what did you think of him getting pretty much the whole game out there? I mean,
I think it's great.
I didn't really think we were going to see that. But then the more he was out there, I was kind of just like, well, yeah. I mean, if he's going to be out for a bunch of time and he's healthy,
they gotta get him.
He's got to get reps.
Gotta get him reps.
I did hear on Teddy Bridgewater spoke to the media a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's excited to work with Jamo because it sounds like they'll be working together for a little bit here while the ones are. Jamo's probably not playing with the ones a bunch right now.
Not right now, yeah.
So
they got to get the other guy, whoever's filling in for him, up to speed.
So you're hoping that Teddy Bridgewater, who's obviously a huge upgrade compared to the other two on the depth chart, hopefully he'll get Jamo more into form here. But yeah, I like the usage and I like that he was out there a lot, but yeah, he definitely had some not great plays. He had a nice 2-point conversion, helped seal the game up. I'm rooting for him, but just another whatever game for him for me.
It's going to be day by day. Did you have any other notes about the preseason game?
Not really. I mean, I think we kind of hit on most of it. I'll reiterate, just the atmosphere it made me very excited for the first game at Ford Field at home. It made me very excited for that. So I just think, I'm glad they pulled it out. I think they rebounded nicely. Defense looking good. It looks like it has depth for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
Looks like there's lots of pieces. It was nice to see the acquirers making plays. I'm excited to see all the starters. So it was a good game against a decent team. So it wasn't it wasn't a bunch of bums.
Well coached team.
Right.
In news today, what's going on right now is that the Jaguars are in town for joint practices. Some unfortunate, scary news, which I don't think anything major has come out of, but both Amon was taken off the field and Jamo got up and was limping off the field today at practice. Definitely not a good sign. I don't think anything was too major about it, but it's going to be interesting.
That's the last news you want to hear.
Last news you want to hear, but we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Jags preview. They're playing Saturday, 1 p.m. You can watch it on the NFL Network. I just wanted to mention one thing that this should be starters. This should be all starters, at least for 1 or 2 drives, right? This is what they always do. They always wait for the second game of the preseason, and then the starters will play at least 1 or 2 drives. So Goff, Amon will be out there if Amon's good. Hutch, if Hutch is healthy, I know he's dealing with a little bit of a banged up ankle right now, but all of them should be playing if they're good to go.
Lucas, what's this week's list of Lions demands?
I demand satisfaction.
I only got one this week, and I need to see it. I need to know that Brad Holmes is not fucking me around when it comes to drafting this position, because I don't believe in this position, especially with this team, because we don't use it. But I got to see a good connection between Laporta and Goff.
He had a bad drop.
They drafted him so damn early in the second round. They still got Brian Branch, which I'm really happy about, but they drafted him so damn early in the second round. And for what? 2 catches, 8 yards a game like Hawk was giving us. A touchdown every quarter of games, every 4 games.
I don't know how reasonable it is to really see that connection right now.
I want to see 2 targets, 2 catches. That's all I'm asking for.
Which is what you just said. You were scorning about Hawkinson.
It's preseason.
Okay.
They're only getting 1 or 2 drives.
Okay.
So for right now, I got to see at least something. And you know what? I'm going to make another point. There's another caveat to this. I don't want it to be goal line targets.
Well, they love doing that.
They love doing it. Why'd we fucking draft them then?
Maybe he'll be a goal line monster. Who knows? Red zone monster.
Our tight ends were great in the red zone last season. It's like, why use that draft pick there? I don't like that's the God. I can't wrap my head around it. 2 targets, 2 catches, not in the red zone. That's the one thing I want to see out of this preseason game.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to add another thing. I want to see some more Broderick Martin. I got to see that guy get going.
I demand satisfaction.
My only thing, I need to see some improvements and positivity with Jamo here.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
I like the usage, but yeah, man, there was a lot of moments where I was just like, oh boy, I don't know.
Let's hope.
I feel like every week I hear something about him where I'm just like scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like. I like the fact that it's only coming from his play, right?
No, what is off the field shit? Are you kidding me? That's
What off the field shit?
What, like the fact that he's suspended for 6 games? That's a huge part of it. What are you talking about? The shit he was getting fights at practices. I mean, come on.
Oh my gosh, the fight at practice. That was overreaction from the media.
Okay.
The 6-game suspension is not an indictment on his character.
Not.
I don't understand why people judge this man for placing a bet.
Because it's stupid.
It's not on the NFL.
Because it's stupid.
He was
it's
doing
against
it from his goddamn hotel room.
He's not allowed to do it. He shouldn't have been doing it.
Who knew?
Every other player who's not suspended.
I doubt it. Because not every player knows not to bet on the NFL, but they still do it.
Well, he's suspended for 6 games,
it,
and there's a whole roster
bullshit.
of other players
it's
who
such
aren't.
A stupid ass rule. It's not an indictment on his character.
Also, look how seriously they took it with the other guys who did it, like Quintez Cephas and all those guys. They got cut. They're gone.
They were betting on the NFL, and they got a year-long suspension. That was completely reasonable.
Just a knucklehead thing to do.
6 games is fucking ludicrous. 2 games, I understand. Slap on the wrist. It's this kid's first offense. Every interview that he does, he's always so positive. He says, no pressure. I'm good. I'm ready to go. I'm working on it.
But he's not. I mean, he's not ready to go. He's not. He's under a lot of pressure. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. He's under a lot of pressure because people like you keep doing it.
Here we go.
Everybody's trying to run this man out of town for no fucking reason at all.
I'm just saying I need to see better signs here.
I agree. 7 targets, 2 catches, that's not good enough. I don't know how many of those
also maybe
were even catchable.
The other part of the whole gambling thing, I'll leave it alone. But like, hey, maybe if you're making millions of dollars, even as a rookie, you're making millions of dollars, maybe you don't need to bet on the NBA. Maybe or college basketball. Maybe just play the game and focus for 5 years and then go live your life after the NFL or whatever the fuck you want to do.
I can't believe this.
It's nuts. Carry on.
I agree that 7 targets and 2 catches is not good enough. I don't know how many of those are even catchable, but hopefully this week we will see an improvement, a vast improvement with Teddy Bridgewater slinging him the rock.
Like, it doesn't even need to be fast. It just needs to be like improvements. Let's just start seeing positive traction with him.
4 catches.
Start building momentum in the correct direction. Because to your point, all we ever hear about is negative. I agree, but it's not unwarranted. That's where I'm scratching my head with this.
Some of it is. Some of it is unwarranted.
I don't even agree with that. But all right.
Score prediction. I'm done talking about Jamo.
Okay. All right.
We will continue to do this for an hour if we keep going.
Score prediction. I picked them to lose last week, so
dead wrong.
Let's give them a win this week. Let's go Lions 17, Jags 6. Let's have a really nice defensive performance from them. Get 2 field goals or a touchdown and a missed field goal.
Who were the Jags backup quarterbacks?
That one dude who made that out of his fucking gourd throw against the Cowboys. The number 18, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he had like a Patrick Mahomes level highlight.
CJ Berthard?
No, well, he is their backup.
Nathan Rook?
That might be the 18.
Yep.
Yeah, he made, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but he made a crazy play against the Cowboys week 1.
Let's see, 24-3. All right, let's go ahead. Let's close the show out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Thank you again for listening to this episode of Gridiron Zeros podcast. My lock of the week hit last week. I gave you the Lions money line, and boy, did it hit. You got a lock of the week, Al?
But it's a lock.
All right, let's get a little weird with it. Let's do a completely random matchup because I was trying to find a Baker Mayfield player prop because I liked what I saw from him last week, but preseason doesn't really have a whole lot of those. But let's stick with Tampa playing the Vikings this week. Let's go with an alternate spread of 8.5 for the Bucks.
Gosh.
Let's do it.
8.5. I love it.
But it's a lock.
Let's just swing. Let's take a big swing. It's preseason.
It's not counting against.
We got to start warming up here. All right.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. There you go. Tampa Bay minus 8.5, and we will be back next week to cap off the Lions Jags preseason game. Will be at the end of the divisional record predictions and much more. So
saving the best for last. Lions. Our final Lions record prediction.
Week, baby. Big
Tune in for that.
All right, make good choices, make good decisions. We'll talk to you on the next one.
Later.